Welcome to Blood in the Snow Radio, where we give you the latest news and interviews with the best in Canadian genre cinema. Here are your hosts, Robert Bellamy and Festival Director Kelly Michael Stewart.
And we continue with Blood in the Snow 2024. I've memorized that. What we'd like to do is get you to introduce yourself, with the project you're with, and just a synopsis of it.
Yeah, perfect. So I'm David Matheson. I'm the writer, director, and lead producer of Apnea, a short film. And the short film is really about a single working mother who comes to find, in the aftermath of her own mother's recent death, that her mother is possessing her in her sleep. That's the general idea.
Where did the idea for this come from?
Yeah, so I kind of see this from two different places. First of all, there's the concept, the idea of somebody possessing you in your sleep. And I don't want to spoil too much, but the way she comes to find this is, she's having all kinds of sleeping issues. They recommend, for specific reasons, again, that I won't get into, she's adamant on not taking any kind of sedative, natural or artificial. So she's very adamant that, no, I want to figure out this organically. And so a sleep therapist recommends, hey, you should film yourself sleeping, detect for signs of apnea, whatever. We can try and solve this. And it's when she reviews the footage that she comes to find, this does not seem like me. And that, to me, was the spark, because that's a fear I've always had. I'm somebody who, I've always had sleeping issues. I've never been able to sleep myself. And funny enough, the idea came to me at 3 a.m. one night when I couldn't fall asleep. I was at
time.
Yeah. I wrote the first draft of this at Vancouver Film School. We had a class on horrors, an incredible class taught by Paul Jensen, his name was. And we all had to come up with a short film for the ending of it. And so that's where the concept came to me. It was always stemmed from that fear of, if I filmed myself sleeping and looked back at the footage and I was doing stuff that I had no recollection of, that would terrify me. Like if I just was looking at the footage and in the middle of the night my body got up and stared into the camera even. It's so simple, but like if I saw that by myself, I wouldn't trust myself. I'd be terrified. And so
chain yourself to the bed from now on.
Yeah, I relate to it too. I've always had sleep issues and stuff and like that. And that, for me, it's always been that feeling of lack of control of what could could happen in your sleep and like could you die in your people die in their sleep and people would do weird things in their sleep and they don't know way terrifying. Yeah, so it's like you really kind of tapped into have a primal fear there, that's for sure.
Right, exactly. I was trying to think of a slogan or something, and it's almost like I was like, damn, Billie Eilish beat me to it with the "When We All Fall Asleep, Where Do We Go?" That was her first album title. But it's like there's something to that's like, I don't know. So conceptually, that's where the idea came to me. And then from a thematic standpoint, I started thinking, okay, who could it be then if it's not her? Why is this happening? What's the result of this? And that's where I think a lot of people in their 20s, as I am, come to sort of, they take a third-person look at their own life and they start to see am I the person I want to be? Why am I the way I am going forward? And a lot of that too, you look at your parents, and I'm lucky enough to have had amazing parents who support me, but still, like everyone, I see parts of them in me that I'm like, do I want to take this with me? Do I want to be like this? So then thematically, I push that to the extreme. And so for my protagonist, Kathy, that's sort of like she's living so much in her mother's shadow that even when her mother's gone, she's so tight to it that is the mother really possessing her? Is she just psychologically so forced to live within her mother's shadow that she can't let go? That's sort of what that represents. I'll let people decide for that, but I know where I stand on that. So
the ambiguous endings are amazing for film because then you get to see how people think while they're watching your film.
Yeah, I 100%. You'll see if you check out the film, it's definitely, there's a huge, you just pause on a facial expression for about 40 seconds, and it's up to whoever to decide what that expression means. I think our lead actress, Celestine Caravaggio, conveyed so much in those 45 seconds. I was telling her, the different kinds of spaces, that Kathy, our protagonist, would be going at that time, the different thoughts that'd be going through her head. and she just tapped into so much personal emotion, so much experience, and like I remember on set just being blown away by that. And no dialogue, nothing, just a face lying there in bed. I was blown away. Yeah.
That is excellent.
One thing we've been talking about this season a little bit on Bits Radio is just kind of the evolution of film for like we've really seen a real renaissance of people being much more interested in short films than they were 10 years ago, say.
That's incredible.
It's just like that too, and we've already had screenings this year like they've had far beyond the attendance that we've had in the past and the interest in that. And so just from yourself making short films and stuff like that, you know, how do you feel that short films are feeling in the marketplace? And I'll give you the context here is that when we started the festival and short films, like, you know, we've been doing this for 13 years, like for like that, the first 5-6 years of the festival, a short film was really more of a calling card of like, hey, I'm going to make a feature and stuff like that too. Whereas I think there's been a lot more of an embrace of just more as an audience member watching short films. And so as a younger, newer filmmaker, I just want to get your take on all that. Where do you think that fits in everything?
Interesting. So, yeah, maybe this is funny. I'm an interesting person to be asking this because I've actually just recently, a couple months ago, adapted my short film into a feature script.
There you go.
So maybe I'm from the old school, but no, I do think that to a large degree, a short film to me stands out the most in terms of concept and sort of like how you can just grip someone with a really cool idea. And I think that as much as Hollywood might disagree, a lot of new people have really incredible ideas, and I think we're seeing that in the short films that are coming out. I mean, I was at TIFF a lot this year. I saw a lot of the shorts programs there, and some of the there's just an idea and an aesthetic that a short film can embrace that is so just moving within that moment. And I think the same could be said. I unfortunately couldn't make it yesterday, but on the first day of this festival, the shorts program, all of them almost had like a really cool concept to it. There was the sorrow with obviously a lot of trauma and baggage buried deep beneath that comes out in such a interesting way. There was that short film about the person in the bar who was writing a screenplay that turned out to be everything that was happening in the bar. Like, that's just a cool concept that I find concepts very inspiring. Whereas, like, a film, you immerse in the characters more, you immerse in the world more, obviously, but a concept, to me, is like the lifeblood of inspiration. That's where inspiration comes from. And you could see a concept that has nothing to do with what you're thinking about, and just you take that and you go in a whole different direction. It leads to a new concept. I'm also a songwriter, and that's really how songwriting works for me. I hear a great song, I think, wow, I wish I wrote that. I'm going to try to write that. And then I sit down to try and write something exactly like that, and it ends up completely different, its own thing, but it's awesome in its own right. And I think that short films are really inspiring in that way.
But pivoting slightly, you mentioned that you just finished a feature film, or you're about to?
I just finished the script.
The script for it, yeah.
Yes.
So that the next move is that based on the short you did, or is this different? So
Yeah,
you're taking
it actually is. Just an expansion of the short.
Of that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Great. And so you finished the script and you're just like looking to get it developed now and stuff. And
yeah, I would love to move into that step. Again, too, I want to let the short stand for itself as well, because I do think it does. Like, I had no intention of writing the feature when I wrote the short. I just became so. It was really actually when I was talking to Celestine Caravaggio, our lead actress, when I was talking to her about the script for the very first time in our preliminary meetings, and we were discussing these characters and why they'd be like this and what that relationship to the mother was really like and how protective she is of her son. We started to go into like some reasons why this might be, and I was like, I am so interested in this character and what Celestine brought to the character, in elements of the character that I didn't even focus on. I just really wanted to explore that more, and that's where I came up with the idea that, like, no, this is a feature, and it could be at least. But yeah.
And like you said, though, with a short film, it's a concept. Now you want to dig in to the real story, the why it's all there, why it's all happening, and that's more of a feature length.
That's exactly it. Yeah, because now, you get to dive deep into the characters in the feature. I think a concept stands on its own, but like I said, great great point. It's the inspiration you get from a concept that can lead anywhere. Yeah.
That's excellent. So, have you got any other things in the go other than that?
Interesting. Well, as mentioned, I'm also a songwriter, and I'm always bouncing back and forth between music and film. I actually, for Apnea, the film in this festival, I wrote and recorded the end credit song specifically for the film. And that was a really fun collaboration, too, because our sound designer, Catherine Engel, also goes by the name Catherine Crow. I met her on this production. She's incredible. And also, as I checked her out on socials, I realized she does a lot of music as well. She was posting covers, and I'm like, she has such a haunting, beautiful voice, and sort of that female voice, especially since my project features on a single mother. I was like, it would be so cool to hear a sort of haunting, beautiful voice come in the end credits. So I asked her if she wanted to be a part of it. She said she was super busy, but could be open to it. So I wrote a song with that in mind. Luckily, we found a way to get her into the studio, and the end result, I think, is incredible. It's a duet, me and her, but her voice stands in the credits. And that, too, that idea came from, I love counterpoint. And so I love when a horror is so tense, and then the credits song is just beautiful, wistful, peaceful, almost acoustic. It takes you it's so different from the soundscape that you almost have to take a step back and be like, what the F did I just watch? Like, wait, what, how are we here now? It takes you out of the experience so much that you really be like, what was that experience? And I think we really captured that. But anyway, to answer your question, initially, I'm doing a lot of music stuff right now, but I also do have another short film written that I'd really like to get developed. It's expensive, and I've spent a lot of money this year getting Apnea made and working on my music. So now, hopefully, hopefully the response is well, and I can get some sort of credit behind my name to pitch my new ideas to other people and hopefully find some funding.
Well, that's great. We've had a few guests on already that has different kinds of mediums that they work in, kind of like that. And we had one on yesterday that is primarily a musician that makes animated and puppet films, kind of like that too. That's playing in Funny Frights this year, and it's like it's neat to meet with different artists, whether they're also not just a filmmaker but a painter or or a musician or something like that. It's interesting how those. Yeah.
Well, it's neat because you can do like you do your own scoring for your films. You don't have to struggle for music because you got John Carpenteritis. You can just make your own.
Yeah, I will add, I didn't score it. That to me, like I like songwriting. I come at it from like a folk perspective, but like the sonic atmospheres and everything, like those big epic scores, that is a world beyond me. And I just want to take a quick moment then to shout out Wilfred Moster, our composer, because I think he did an incredible job. And like the story, the film before and after the score is literally night and day. And that process working with him was incredible. So yeah.
That is excellent. Well, thank you so much for being on the show. Good luck in the festival.
Yeah.
And when things happen down the road, get a hold of us because we'd love to have you back on.
Absolutely. My absolute pleasure being here. I've loved the films I've seen so far. I'm going to try and see as many more as I can this week. And yeah, just happy to be here.
Excellent. Thank you.
Join us next time for Blood in the Snow Radio. Bits Radio is a production of Three Evil Cats Productions in association with the Blood in the Snow Canadian Film Festival. For more information and to listen to other episodes, visit bloodinthesnow.ca and tweet us at BitsFilmFest. Music by Jen Gorman, produced and edited by Kelly Michael Stewart. I am Eduardo